What's up guys, and welcome to this new channel. Today we're gonna play this fairly new visual novel called Lyre. Um, this is gonna be the first video on this channel. I used to have another one before, I still have it, but I have some subscribers, but no one watches my videos. And I also upload like really dumb videos in general, so I'm not really proud of what I do. So I wanted to try something new. I was always interested in playing visual novels, furry visual novels, and I've played lots of them. So I don't think I'm gonna record like visual novels I already played. So this is gonna be my series on this game. I'm gonna play some other visual novels like Arches is another one that it just came out, and I really wanted to cover the updates. I want to cover every update, so I'm probably gonna record that one too. I wanted to say sorry for my English, but yeah, it's not my first language, as you can clearly tell. So I'm gonna try my best to read it in the best accent possible. So without further ado, let's just start this game. I'm gonna use the default name. I'm falling, but I don't fear hitting the ground. All around me I see the vast landscape of our kingdom, Tigran. It is all laid out like a map, slightly curved and difficult to see through the misty clouds. My hands are sprawled out to my side, as if I were a bird gliding through the dense air. This slows the process of my descent, allowing me to truly take in the landscape. I guide my body to look behind me to the northeast and see the kingdom of Lyre, a beautiful city with a massive castle surrounded by walls settled on the lands of the fjord, its snow-capped mountains shining pink with sunlight. The grassy hills rolling down to the waters like a thick blanket. I can see the cliffs of the fjord and how they dip into the river below. The path leading up north through the mountains is treacherous yet serene. Then, stretching across to the west of Tigran, I can see the kingdom of Erin, my home. The waters of the lochs are glistening with sunlight, and the white sand of the coast is unnaturally bright. I see ships going in and out of the bay, their sails filled with the deep fall wind. The Shadow Gulch is ominous as ever, with its cypress trees twisting up from the bottom of the rivers into the sky, shrouding the ground in a deep shadow. My gaze turns to the southern desert, its large plateaus reaching high and forming the canyon pass. This leads down through the Badlands to the kingdom of Driz and its burning markets, the walls curving with the shape of the dunes, connecting with the citadel, a great impenetrable structure. My eyes then wander around, looking over every detail of the land, forgetting that I'm falling and instead feeling like I'm flying towards wherever my eyes take me. Just as I feel a presence next to me, I see the world pulled from my vision as my body is sent higher at a very fast speed. I feel fear as everything starts to fade from view. I roll over on the cool bed sheets, feeling the air around me compress. My eyes open to a thick light pouring down above me, hitting the foot of the bed I'm laying in. I hear the distant clatter of metal, along with voices. It feels like a cold fall afternoon, and there is a stuffy smell that lingers around me as I see dust particles float around dancing in the light. My mouth tastes dry. My heart starts to rhythmically beat in my chest, picking up pace with every second. I look down at my body and notice that I have thick bandages wrapped around my torso. I reach out with my hand just around my stomach and feel a twinge of pain near the lower right side of my gut. My mind is racing with questions. I sit up, and the feeling of all the blood rushing to my head makes everything go dark. I shift in the bed and slowly wriggle myself out from underneath the covers. I go to lift myself from the bed and stumble a bit as I steady myself on the cold floor. I look around the decorated room I'm in. It is elegant, with a nicely sized bed, a desk, and a glass door that leads out onto a balcony where I can see the afternoon light shining down onto the floor. A few bottles and bowls of medicine are strewn about, laying on the cabinet in front of me. I slowly start to walk to the door when all of a sudden start to feel horrible. Everything seems to kick in at once as I'm slowly crouching to the ground. I crawl to the floor and lay there for a second, waiting for it to pass. As I lay there, feeling my insides twist around and dance in my body, the door opens, and I'm met with a creepy figure in a dark green robe, wearing a pointed mask and a hat. They looked as if they were about to do something, but stop in the doorway as I feel their gaze fall on me from behind the dark goggles. "Ah, you're awake! Good, yes!" He stutters this out with much effort in an odd voice. "Oh dear, wait here a moment, please. I'll be right back with help." He prances and stumbles back to the doorway, leaving it slightly open, his feathery tail floating behind him. All I can do is lay there as I hear him scuttle off, calling someone's name. I start to feel a bit better, and the squeamish feeling subsides slowly. Just as the cold floor starts to feel nice, I hear muffled voices from outside the door. One of them I recognize as the bird, and another seems rather gruff and annoyed. Of course, the minute I leave for a drink, something happens. How long has he been awake? I don't know. He was just laying there on the floor. Is he okay? Well, not really. He seemed to be in some pain, but that's expected. Or maybe they just were scared of you. What are you getting at? That mask makes you look ridiculous. It's a safety precaution. I hear the footsteps and voices get closer until they're right outside the door. You'd never catch me wearing one of those. The short-cloaked bird shovels into the room carrying a bag. Walking behind him is a long wolfman of sorts. He is very tall and muscular, almost having to bend over to walk through the doorway. He closes the door behind him. His right eye is scarred, and he has a semi-annoyed expression on his face, contrary to his tail slightly swishing left and right slowly. His clothing is simple yet elegant, large, white and bulky with fur trimming and metal plate armor. A large white cape drapes behind him with blue inside. I see a symbol on the breastplate which I can somewhat recognize as the king's sigil, a pair of antlers stretching high. He is coated with dark brown fur, which is very fluffy around the neck. His eyes trail around the room, landing on me. He then walks forward and begins to speak. "Do you need any help?" I nod my head. He stands awkwardly for a moment, then he walks forward, his spotted feet thumping against the smooth floor. The wolf then proceeds to kneel down and gently reach out to pick me up. He stops before touching me in hesitation, then reaches under my legs with his paw, and then with the other arm reaches around my back and grabs my shoulder. The wolf lifts me up and adjusts me in his grip so that I don't fall. His neck fur grazes against my face as he carries me over to the bed and lays me down in it, gently reclining me back against one of the large pillows. I mumble out some appreciation. "Thank you," he grunts in response. "God, Leaf, it's fucking cold in here. At least make him decent and give him a shirt to wear. Clothing will mess with the bandages. Besides, how are you cold?" "I'm not, but the floor feels like ice." "I'm sure that is fine." I slowly sit up in bed with some hesitation and open my mouth to speak. "Who are you?" The two turn and look at me, and as Leaf makes a motion to speak, the wolf places a paw on his shoulder. "My name is Lyle Reed. I'm the commander of the Royal Guard, and this is the Royal Family Physician, Leaf. He says this with a certain twinge of proudness, his tail swishing slightly. Yes, I'm sure we can dispense from the chromatics for now. Do you remember anything before the crash? Look down at my torso and the two connect. So that's what happened. You can remember? He has a curious look on his face as his eyes stare into mine with extreme intensity, while Leaf scuttles over to the bedside table. Kind of. It's all a bit vague. Here, have some water. Leaf walks over to me carrying a small goblet of water. I take it cautiously, bring it to my lips and take a short drink. Slowly it all starts to come back to me, as if I had just woken up after a horrible dream. I was on my way north to the kingdom of Lyre, as an ambassador from the kingdom of Erin. On the 11th day of travel during a cold and rainy night, as we were nearing the outskirts of the kingdom, I remember minding my own business in the small closed-off cart. Suddenly, there was a loud rumbling noise and shouting. That is all I can remember. I can't really remember much of what happened, just everything before blacking out. On the mountain pass just outside the other city there was an avalanche. It wiped through most of your small entourage and killed some men. When all rangers came upon where it happened, your carts and wagons were almost decimated. You had a piece of splintered wood lodged in your side. Thankfully it didn't hit anything vital, and you seem to have recovered well over the past 4 days. While Lyle rants about how the mountain pass is too dangerous to take anymore, I look down at my side and feel the bandages. It's painful, but not enough to bring my wings to my body. I was out for 4 days? Aside from the occasional stirring in sleep, I quickly tried to shake off the thought of someone watching me sleep. That would have been pretty scary, waking up in the middle of the night to a 6.5 foot tall wolf in the corner of an unfamiliar room. Well, I hope this hasn't cut into anything important. Don't worry, things have been quite slow lately. There hasn't been much being discussed, and we're still waiting for the ambassador from Dries. He falls silent, staring out the window behind me, then his eyes fall back down. His tail swishes slightly up, and after a long awkward pause, he speaks again. The king has assigned me to be your personal guard. This statement surprises me. I was not expecting the king to assign me a guard, let alone the captain himself. For some reason, on my way here, my imagination led me to thinking of a king who was rash and dismissive and had no time for political nonsense. I thought I would be completely on my own. That's usually how it goes. As I'm thinking this, Leaf moves over to the other side of the room and fiddles with something in his little bag. I'm sure that you will do a fine job, sir. I'll make sure to give my thanks to the king. Lyle grimaces a bit, and his nose gives a small twitch. You don't have to refer to me with such titles. Lyle is fine. I give him a slight nod. This certainly isn't the introduction I had hoped for. One moment I'm sitting in my cart, heading around the mountain pass, almost to my destination, where I would be received by the castle staff and possibly even the king himself. Instead, I wake up in my new chambers, unfortunately having missed everything important from my arrival. As kind as these two are, the situation I find myself in is less than preferable. I sigh and shake my head. Well, as long as I haven't missed out on anything important. My thoughts still dwell on the crash. I haven't really had enough time to let it settle that people just died. That I almost died. It's a shame that avalanche happened, and I'm very thankful that your rangers were able to save my life and many others. Lyle gives a slight smirk of acknowledgement, and I can already tell that he's a bit modest, even if his tail is sweeping the ground. It's their job. Leaf thrusts over to me with a small bowl of some weird mushy substance. It looks familiar, but I haven't had to take that much medicine in my life. Here's something to ease the pain. This is most likely the last time you'll have to take it, considering you've healed very fast already. I stare down at the bowl with a look of discomfort, as Leaf drones on about how fascinating it is that humans heal much faster than any other mammal, and other stuff I kind of didn't care to listen to. I take the small bowl and drink down a strange mix. It has a thick consistency. The texture is like eating sandy mud. Not that I've ever done that before. The taste, however, is not as bad as I thought it would be. It has a savory flavor that's very hard to describe. Still not pleasant enough for me to thoroughly enjoy it. If you don't mind, I'd like to take a look at your bandages and also see how your recovery is coming along. I look down at my side and lift the covers a bit. Sure, I guess. Leaf walks around to the other side of the bed and begins to awkwardly unwrap the bandages with his gloved hands. Lyle is standing across the room, and as I catch him watching, he quickly averts his gaze, his ears turning red on the inside. He certainly is expressive, though he tries to hide it. Leaf finishes unwrapping the bandages, and I finally get a good look at the wound. It looks a bit messy, a dark red color around the skin, and the scar it left behind isn't pretty. Ah, it's coming around nicely. He's got to be kidding. He takes a damp sponge and begins to lightly dab and rub at it. I see the wound start to clean up nicely, and after a minute, Leaf rubs some weird cream on it with a sponge, and he seems to be done. Lyle is turned around meekly fidgeting with something on the desk. I'm not surprised to see that you're getting better very fast. You should be able to walk now without the risk of opening up the wound. Just try to take it slow. How can I take things slow when everything's happening so fast? That's good to hear, thank you. Leaf seems to be happy to hear that his efforts are appreciated, as I can hear his tail lightly flipping up and down, rhythmically tapping against the ground for a second. I'm always happy to help. Let me know if you need anything else. And with that, he picks up his bag and makes his way to the door before turning to Lyle. And let the rest in. He shuffles through the doorway and it closes behind him with a soft thud. The silence settles once Leaf leaves. Lyle is clearly uncomfortable with it, so he speaks up. Leaf usually knows what he's talking about, but are you sure you're okay? He gives me a look of concern for a moment, but then his eyes dart to the floor, then around the room. Aside from my body feeling sore, after being awake for a bit, I feel better. I feel good enough, I guess. He looks at me with a smile and adjusts himself. Well, if you want to get dressed, your clothes and other things were brought up. He gestures over to the corner of the room where I can see my trunks and belongings. Even though I'm wrapped in bandages around my torso, I still feel underdressed, so I guess putting on some clothes would definitely help. I make a motion to rise, but Lyle shoots me a worried look. Maybe I could get you something to wear. Oh, sure, just the outfit from the trunk over there. I point to the trunk on the left, which had the outfit I was going to wear when I met the king. He makes his way over to the pile of trunks, his cape gliding across the floor behind him with each careful step. Lyle looks very out of place in this room. Everything looks so small compared to him. He bends down and unlatches the trunk. I see him pause to look at its contents, then proceed to curiously sift through it. His ears perk up really high when he finds the outfit. He clumsily stands from his kneeling position and walks over to the side of my bed carrying the outfit. It's nothing too fancy. I may have some form of noble status, but I don't tend to overplay it. It is, however, the nicest outfit I own that fits the climate. The main part of it are made from cotton, with bits of silk here and there. There is the basic underskirt with flowy sleeves and a slight ruffle. The trousers are layered and tight-fitting with pockets on the inside. Tailcoats usually are not my favorite article of clothing to wear. Usually I lean towards robes or jackets. There is some fur and there is a small scarf that I can wrap around my neck and tuck into the vest. Lyle places the outfit on the bed and takes a step back. Is this the one? He says this with a bit of worry. as if he made the wrong decision. Yeah, this is it. I sit up and grab onto the pair of pants. I got to change and realize what's wrong with this. Should I bathe first? Lyle looks at me with a dismissive gaze, then talks. You smell fine to me. I guess someone like him would be the best judge of that. I go to unbutton my trousers but stop realizing that he's watching. Do you mind looking the other way? Oh, of course. He quickly turns on his heel and stands at the other side of the room, staring out of the window, the light eclipsing around his dark fur. I take off my trousers and undergarments, putting on a fresh new pair, and then fasten the newest slacks. As I secure the last button, I lift my head and speak in his direction. Okay, you're good. Sorry. He turns away from the window quickly, as if he was frustrated with something happening outside. I reach down for the shirt and bring it up over my head. As my arms rise above my head, I feel a sharp pain in my side and wince. Lyle clearly sees this. Maybe I should hope. No, really, it's fine. I just need to. I slide my arms through the sleeves and my head pops up through the collar. Before I'm even able to finish putting the vest on, Lyle is walking around to the other side of the bed carrying the tailcoat. He lifts it up, motioning to put it on me. Oh. He drapes the coat over me slowly, with the collar fitting around my neck. I carefully embrace it and start putting it on. So you're going to be my guard? If you'll have me. He says this with a solemn look on his face. I guess it wouldn't hurt. I really don't mind it. I don't know if I'll need the protection, but it's always nice to be prepared. It's also nice to have a guide of sorts to show me around. It definitely would help. Almost half of your men were wiped out in that disaster. The king thought that you could use some extra hands. And I can show you the castle and escort you in the town. I would like that a lot, although I don't know if I'll have the time for it. That sounds nice. The king also thought that you might like to have someone in a high position that you can trust. He says this with a certain proudness in his voice, and a slight smile. I decide to humor him. What makes you think I can trust you? He stops moving one of the sleeves up my arm for a moment, then starts again, and his mouth twists into an embarrassed smile. Don't worry, I jest. Very funny. He grumbles to himself as I fasten the buttons on the front. So, you watch me while I sleep? He's taken back by this statement. I'm your guard. I was stationed outside of your room to keep you watch. Believe me, it's not something I wanted to do. It's not like you're in any danger. Why were you up at night? Do you take both day and night shift? I don't need to sleep a lot. Plus, I feel more awake at night. Oh yeah, I've heard that some races don't really need much sleep. Maybe 3 to 4 hours within a 24-hour period. I guess that's good for someone in this position. Well, it's fine. Again, I was only joking. I do enjoy watching this wolf get flustered. You're just full of jokes, aren't you? He shakes his head with a slight laugh, and then sighs, looking at the floor, one of his teeth hanging out of his mouth in a goofy way. I take this moment of silence to get down to business. Does the king request my presence? I realized that it was a bit foolish of me to dress for the occasion before even considering that I might not even get to meet the king today. I just look forward to meeting him and discussing certain matters that pertain to my job. I'm not even sure the king knows that you're awake at this moment, but I assume you will find out shortly. Most likely you'll be able to speak with him during supper tomorrow. That does sound interesting. I definitely wouldn't mind having a nice meal right now. Speaking of supper, I'm very hungry. Don't worry, that's already been taken care of. Leaf would have sent for one of the servants to bring you some food by now, especially since they won't have to feed you with that weird tube. Did they seriously have to do that? I feel sick at the thought. Only twice, and don't worry, it's not that bad. That little twerp may be a bit weird at times, but he knows his way around medicine and has been able to achieve things most wouldn't even imagine to be possible. Lyle has an odd relationship with the bird. It sounds like he respects him though. For what I've seen, he seems to know his way around his work, and I trust him. He seemed pretty jumpy though. I wouldn't imagine he's the best at surgery. Then again, I'm still here, unless he had help. So, how did you find yourself in your position? Well, that came out of nowhere. Um, I think for a moment about what I should say. I don't want to give away too much about myself. Well, come from a small noble house in the West, and I'm good at what I do. At least I like to think that I am. Sometimes I feel like I was carried through my position. The look on Lyle's face tells me that was a bit too vague. What? That's it? He has an unsatisfied look on his face, but then he shrugs. I'm sure there's more to it. Well, if I'm going to tell you my life story, you better tell me yours. And I'll need a drink. Deal. The sun sets quickly. It's not even the 18th hour by the time the sun dissipates behind the mountains, and I'm forced to light a candle. I've taken off most of my outfit, folded it, and set it down on the corner for tomorrow. Lyle is reclined in one of the chairs, telling me about when he was a squire when there is a knock at the door. His ears perk up and he sniffs at the air. I thought I smelled food. Really? Because all I can smell is wine. He stumbles getting up, yet confidently walks over to the door. Though he tries to hide it, he's a bit tipsy. He opens it and greets the servant. A cart is pushed in as Lyle steps back. The cart is full to the brim with all kinds of food. I see a roasted duck and cooked fish laid on greens surrounded by vegetables. I recognize these delicacies due to them being abundant where I'm from. There's some bread and cheese, with a weird sauce in a bowl off to the side. On a side tray there's a fresh bottle of wine, with what looks like a piece of mint. Thank you. I call out to the servant standing in the doorway. He nods in acknowledgement and leaves. Lyle stands there for a moment, and then adjusts his cape. Well, enjoy your meal. He makes to leave the room, but I speak up. Oh, you're not going to join me? He pauses for a moment and turns to answer. It's very generous of you, but I'll just go eat in my own quarters later. Besides, I already rated you of your wine, and I have stuff that I need to do. I'm sad to see him go. He also looks a bit conflicted. I don't think I can be alone right now. I need some company after everything that's happened. Oh, come on, I insist. Besides, this is way too much food, even for someone who hasn't had a proper meal in days. He turns away from the door, closing it with a smile on his face. Well, if it's okay with you, then I guess I can stay. He walks back over to one of the chairs and sits down. I take a bunch of the food and put it on my plate. The fish looks really good, so I grab some of that first. There's a piece of parchment placed in the center of the tray. I pick it up and read it. Enjoy. R. Maybe that's the chef? Once I'm done, Lyle begins filling up his plate. He takes quite a bit of it, and most of the duck is gone by the time he's done plating his food. And I thought I was taking a lot. He plops into his chair and starts to eat. After a few minutes of somewhat quiet eating, he continues his story. Anyway, I was a squire for Lord Bryn up until the age of 19. Then I was made an anointing knight by the king. Wow, that's a really young age to become a knight. And now you're captain? Yup. How old are you now? 22. You're the captain of the guard and you're only 22? I blurted this out, instantly regretting it. I'm only just about to turn 20 and I'm already being sent far away on diplomatic missions, so I guess I shouldn't be talking. But still, most people aren't even knighted until they're 21. But believe me, I was just as surprised as you are. My captain usually has a next in line selected in case they die. When Sir Ronald died, he had me chosen as his successor. Everyone said that he was grooming me for the command, but I didn't really suspect it. The king was pleased with this though, so I didn't question it. He takes a grape and pops it in his mouth, chewing it with a distant look on his face. Did you not want to be captain? He stops chewing for a moment, then keeps going. It's something that I wanted, but it just happened so fast. Yeah, I understand. It must be stressful being put into a position like that so fast. Well, I'm sure you're doing a good job. I hope so. He takes another drink from his cup. I take another bite from my fish. It's soft and basically melts in my mouth. It's the best food I've had in a long time. Maybe it's because I was so hungry. The fish tastes so much different from the fish off the coast of Erin. Lyle empties his cup and then reaches for the pitcher to pour some more. So, Richter, how old are you? I'm 19. You look a bit older than 19 to me. I cock an eyebrow at him. Not that it's a bad thing. Well, the same can be said for you, Straffy. I jokingly drag my finger across my right eye, hinting at his scar. I guess so. He reaches up and rubs a paw over his eye while chuckling. How did you get it? If you don't mind me asking. He contemplates for a moment, then pours more wine. I'll tell you that story someday. And I'd need a lot more wine than this. He lifts the bottle and sloshes it around slightly. His speech is a bit slurred due to the drunk state he's in. He takes a big drink from his cup and lowers it with a satisfied exhale. It must be interesting. That's one way to describe it. He picks up his empty plate and sets it on the tray. I'm finishing a piece of bread when I notice his eyes light up. Can I have this piece of mint? He holds up the little bundle of leaves. Yeah, you can have it. Thank you. Mint is my favorite. He pops a piece of it in his mouth and chews on it in pure bliss, his tail wagging. I finish my plate and place it on the tray. I'm feeling really tired now that I have some food in my stomach. I can tell Lyle senses this. Thanks for letting me eat with you, but... He gets up from a chair with a grunt and pats his stomach. I should probably be going, and I'm sure that you're going to have a busy day tomorrow. He starts walking towards the door. No need to thank me, you're good company. He smiles and opens the door. Have a good night, and I'll be guarding the hall for a bit if you need anything. Good night. He kind of stumbles to the door and it closes with a thud. I take off the rest of my outfit, blow out the candle, and then fall into bed. Today was certainly a strange day. I've only been awake for a couple of hours, but I feel so tired. My side still feels a bit sore, but it should get better with time. Lyle and Leaf seem really nice, especially Lyle. I'm glad that I was in their care while I was out. I can't help but be excited to meet the king tomorrow. It may sound boring, but I'm actually looking forward to my job. The wine gets to me and I slowly drift off. To be continued. Whew, so, this was the first release of this game. I'm gonna definitely continue it There's going to be a new version in the next days, so I'm going to record it as soon as possible. But I'm gonna wait to release the video until the version goes public, because tomorrow there's the Patreon version coming out. So if you want to play it, consider joining at Max Patreon. I'm gonna link it in the description so you can join it. So for today, the reading is done. I'll see you guys in the next update. So goodbye.